Welcome to the Forged in Chef podcast with Lois.
I'm with Noah.
We're here today to talk about transitions. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, do you want to go first?
Yeah, okay. I'm Reuben. I'm a master's student with the SMI.
I'm Sadie and I'm doing an MSc in Psychology and Education.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So Sadie, can you tell us a bit about your dissertation?
Yeah.
You're doing transitions.
Yeah, so I'm basically, I'm like halfway through the process at the moment. It's called the investigation of postgraduate students' experiences of the transition from undergraduate to postgraduate study. So I'm basically just like looking at the different factors, so academic life, social life, personal life, and how like that changes from undergrad to postgrad.
Oh, so how would you define a transition, and what have you found that defines a transition?
Yeah, well, I guess it's quite a broad term, so that I guess there's quite a lot of definitions to it, but I would say what I'm looking at is more the change and lifestyle, I guess, lifestyle change from one thing to another. I guess that's how I define it, really.
Yeah.
I know there's some stuff that you can't say about your own research, but from some of the stuff that the other literature has said or your own inclination, what do you think some of those challenges are to people moving between, you know, undergraduate to postgraduate?
Well, I can talk about my findings. I just can't talk about specific people and their like actual degrees. But yeah, I find that there's a lot of like imposter syndrome with masters. Like there is a lot of pressure coming from like not fitting in academically. Although some of my like participants have found that the transition was quite easy, but then there's a lot of majority have found it like quite high in difference, like from academic side. They found that there's a lot of stress that comes with it because they're almost left to be a lot more independent than undergrad, and there isn't that much support for it from what they say.
Do you have anyone that you've studied or looked at or talked to that has come from work, and do you find any differences between people who might have come from work?
Yeah,
okay.
So I guess there are a lot of like the participants have actually come from work, but it's mainly like there's a larger difference between people that have come from a different university rather than like stayed in the same place. So I found that like the people that stayed at this uni, they found the transition like socially a lot easier because they already have their foundations, they know where they're going to be, they know where to go. Whereas like there was a few participants that came from other universities and had a few years out that they found it quite challenging to come back into a space where people already knew each other. They knew where to go, like they had no idea where buildings were. So I think that was also a big factor in that.
But I think maybe people coming from, especially from work, when you've A, been out of academia, and then B, you know, it's something totally different, can be quite challenging.
Yeah, I think it is a very like internal thing as well. Like I think it is, people put the pressure on themselves and they think that they can't do it, but actually they can, and I think they just got to trust in themselves, that they know they've done an undergrad, like you're here, like you got that degree, like you're academically like there. So I think it is like an internal, like when you've had time out of it you kind of lose confidence, I think, probably I'd say.
You mentioned before about awareness. So to what extent are people aware of the support the university gives, and to what extent do the university provide a level of support for people, whether they're coming from undergrad in Sheffield or from work or from a different university?
I don't think there is a lot of awareness. I think there is support definitely there. Like I've looked online, there's like counselling, there's, you know, you can go to people to talk to whenever, but I don't think that's what students know. I don't think they know it's there, or they choose not to go there, and I don't know why that is.
So I came to do a master's here from being a few years out working and like having done an undergrad in a different university, and I did feel like there just wasn't as much, but again I did not look into that support, and I think I just went with like the strategy that worked in undergrad, which was like go for people on my course, like try and make a friend, like try and kind of sit with different people maybe.
Which does work. Like, I mean, from the interviews, like that's the main thing that people have spoken about, like getting through that challenge, is just making more social connections, and it was a lot easier for people than they expected as like a master's student compared to undergrad. Yeah, they found it like less intense to make friends, even though it was still like quite scary to go into. Yeah,
that's very interesting.
Yeah.
So Sadie, we spoke about some of the stuff the university is doing. Reuben, what you've been doing as well is a bit about speaking to people about transitions in the form of a focus group. Do you want to speak a little bit more about what that's been going on with?
Yeah, so in kind of partnership with the School of Education, we thought it'd be a good idea to set up a workshop which looks at exactly what you've been looking at, which is student transitions. I was nodding all the way through. Everything that you just said, we found in the workshops. Shout out to Emma, Victoria and Sky as well, who they did most of
that. Of you shouted out.
No. I'm just saying, like, they did most of the heavy lifting. I'm just here taking credit for it. So, yeah, it was like a activity-based kind of student-led workshop from which we're getting data and then producing outputs.
So what was something that you found from those workshops? I mean, I really enjoyed them. It was fascinating hearing about what other people, some of their experiences with transition as well. But what do you think you found from a researcher's point of view?
So we haven't had time to do a full thematic analysis yet, but I found it interesting. We did an activity at the end, which was basically like kind of sending a letter to your past self or to other students. And the key theme that kept coming up was belonging. This idea of what you said about imposter syndrome. People kind of not really believing in themselves, perhaps, to the extent that they should. It was interesting as well, because during that activity nobody actually communicated yet. This theme kept coming up, this idea of belonging. It's something I've struggled with as well, you know. Coming here as a mature student, sometimes you feel like you're on the outside looking in a little bit, and then you speak to other people and you realise everyone else feels the same way, so it's kind of like, why don't we all just communicate with each other, you know? So
I think that was really striking, sitting in, when I was part of that workshop, how similar, like you said, before you wrote those kind of letters and the post-it notes we wrote about, put on the wall about a piece of advice you would give to yourself or in the past or to someone else, is no one really mentioned anything. You kind of said it and then everyone went and started writing, but just how similar some of the stuff that people said were. And you think a lot of the time, like my only coming through this kind of transition from one event to another is, well, yeah, it's highly personalised, but maybe the feelings you're feeling are actually quite similar to a lot of what other people have said. I mean, that really struck me in the room as well. Yeah,
for sure. Like, you have this sense that everybody else has got it together. Nobody's got it together. Like, right up to the top of society, you know? Like, everybody's kind of winging it to some extent, no matter where you are.
Yeah, that sounds like it really is so personal. I mean, you've said this, but so personal, so individual, and yet so common. And is that the point of doing this project? I remember there was something said about like kind of putting things on posters around the university to try and make this sense that actually you are in the same boat with other people and to kind of comfort others as well. Yeah,
just like we're hoping to create a set of digital resources which can then be put on, like, say, screens around university buildings, just to remind people that they're not, because a lot of the time people don't really talk with each other about these things, so seeing that even just like a little visual reminder that other people are going through these issues as well, you're not alone, I think could be really powerful. That's something we're hoping to get sorted soon.
Yeah, I do as well with masters, because it's only a year. Well, some of them can be a year. They're quite quick. It's not 3 years where you get like your first year, you can settle in, and then stuff like that. It's almost like probably by the time you, I mean, I feel this definitely. By the time you feel like you've got the hang of it, you know how to do essays again. You know how to put assignments in again. Like, you've got your friendship group. It's almost like, oh no, now I really need to think about. Yeah, it's like bye. It's like, oh no, like now I have to get a job again. I don't want to do that. I want to be unemployed. Like,
literally, it's so nice to like get settled, but you can't settle, can you? I think that's quite a big factor in it all as well. Like, not knowing what you're doing. Next. It's scary.
Yeah, it is scary. And like I said, I don't think enough credit is given to it, especially if you follow this kind of academic path of we've spoken about it before with Matt, but you do your GCSEs, your A levels, your undergrad, your masters. It's so kind of linear that it can feel like it shouldn't be scary.
Yeah, it's almost like that's your safe space. Sorry to
no, go for it.
It's like
please,
you feel safe in that. Like, you know, you've always done it since you were 4 years old. Like, you know where you're going, you know what you're doing, and then to then come to a masters, and then you're kind of like, do I do a PhD or do I want to go and work? And you kind of get that need to like make a choice, and I think that transition then to go on to a new transition is scary as well, and I think that's all part of that same change, I guess, for people.
Yeah.
The inverse of that is true for people that are coming back to education as well. So like I worked for like 8 years and then came back into education for the first time since secondary school. I'm having to think now, I'm getting old. So like mature students often have the kind of opposite to that, where it's like, oh, I'm back with a load of like young people. It's like,
and I think as well with transitions, people can want to settle in really quick or like to know what they're doing. So I think people sometimes need to give themselves credit for what they're doing and take a step back.
Take the pressure off.
Yeah.
Like, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Like, a job will come. It doesn't have to be a grad scheme as well. Like that, I think that's something that people are worried about.
Is it?
I'm not going to get a grad scheme, I want to get this. And it's like, you don't need to. Like, you're fine. Like, do what makes you happy, and not to be cringy, but like, as long as you know what you're doing next, like, it doesn't matter comparing to other people as well.
I think that might be the most common word for third year. People in third year is just the word grad scheme. I think people get very scared about it. As a mature student that's like worked and then come back, I find it interesting because I didn't know what I wanted to do when I was your age. I had no idea. So like, you have these like expectations of knowing, yes, I'm going to do this. This is my career. This is what I'm going to do for the next potentially like 45 years. It's like, come on. Like, I think there's something to be said for taking some time and then coming back.
I agree, because when I left university, I think I was like ready to get into the working world, sort of done with academia, done with the exams, done with everything. And doing a few different jobs, I feel like did then really solidify that I wanted to do a master's. Also the fact that all the job applications now ask for masters desirable in the field that I'm trying to work in, which is psychology. But I feel like coming back, it gave me such a clear sense of what I actually wanted out of it, which maybe I didn't have before. That's not to say that you shouldn't go from undergrad to masters.
No, it's really interesting,
but definitely it helped me a little bit to get that space as well. Yeah,
for sure. It's almost like, we talk about transitions, I feel like there's like a reality distortion field around the university. It's like a different world to like the actual workplace. It's so different. I think that is something that people like transitioning from university into the workplace and out the workplace back into university, it's always going to be really jarring just because it's so different.
It is.
You know, you're not clocking in and clocking out, or I mean you may be signing into your
scanning
lectures
QR code.
Scanning the QR code and stuff, but it's not the same. You know, there's no. You're always kind of thinking, even at home in the evening, you might be thinking. There's no clear kind of boundaries as a student, which can make it difficult. I think people forget that sometimes.
So Reuben, what was the biggest takeaway from the Transitions project, do you think?
There's a few, I'd say. I think the support systems do exist, but there's an accessibility issue there, like you mentioned. I'm not quite sure what that is. Like, it's like there's some sort of barrier that's stopping a lot of students to actually engaging with the support systems which are there. It could be various different things, but I think like there needs to be a bridge between that gap. I think that's something the university could perhaps work on. But also there is an element of individual responsibility there as well. Like, you're paying like money to be here, like use the resources for goodness sake. So that was kind of my key takeaway.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well, because obviously, like, in my interviews, no one really mentioned anything that they mentioned all these challenges, but not what they actually do with the uni to like get support for that. So I think there definitely is that. There needs to be a bridge between that and the support they get. But I'd also say that the main thing that I found was this imposter syndrome and stress, and people putting too much pressure on themselves when they just need to believe in what they do and they're there for a reason and they got there themselves, so you can get through it, you know.
Yeah.
I think that's really what I found mainly.
Yeah. That's a lovely piece of advice. And Reuben, would you have any advice that you'd give either like yourself coming into this like a year ago, or to anyone else who might be struggling? Anything you can think of?
I guess don't be afraid to be vulnerable, in the sense that like don't be afraid to like reach out and ask for help, whether it be from peers or from the university itself. Vulnerability isn't necessarily weakness, you know. Like my ego wouldn't allow me to ask for help for basically the whole of undergrad, even though I was really struggling. I was like, no, I can do it. Like my fragile masculinity. But my partner was watching Molly May the other night on the Amazon Prime show, and I was like, why is she so popular? Like, I don't understand this. I was sat watching it, so confused, and I realised it's because like a lot of it is just she's not afraid to be vulnerable, and I think that really resonates with audiences. And I'd tell people like be like more like Molly May, you know?
Yeah, Molly May. Okay, cool. So that moves us on to the next part of the podcast, which is what are you guys gatekeeping in Sheffield?
Okay, well, I go to a pub quiz every Thursday. I've been going since first year. Noah would know, he used to come too. But yeah, no, I'd say that's probably, it's really fun. I think everyone should go. You basically go and you do a little quiz, and then you can win prizes, third, second, first place. It's just really nice. Like, it's nice to get away from uni and do something fun. And
it's nice to have it on a weekly basis.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know where you're going, like kind of random on a Thursday, but it was really fun. Yeah.
And where is it?
The Bloomery is literally off Nile Street.
Ooh,
yeah,
okay.
so you like Broom Hill. It's just in Broom Hill, yeah.
Yeah, so close to the uni as well.
Yeah, really close. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
definitely.
Okay, cool.
It's pretty reasonable, especially on a Thursday evening.
Yeah, they do Goose student deals, so get yourselves there.
Yeah, nice. Awesome.
I have several things, because I've lived in Sheffield my whole life, so I've got like a litany of things that I could say. I'm gonna go right. Let's do it like categories. So like best coffee shop, Cafe Tucci, just next to the city. I always get the city hall and the town hall mixed up. City hall or town hall? Just Google it. Really good coffee. Salvatore and Stefano, two brothers, own it. Lovely Italian geezers from Napoli. Really strong coffee. Like, it's very, very powerful stuff. Like, you only need one, and you'll be. It's like rocket fuel.
Study fuel.
Yeah. Best bar. I don't know if this is gatekeeping, because I think a lot of people know about it, but I worked here for 6 years. Cubana, Latin bar in Leopold Square. Definitely recommend it.
Brilliant food there as well.
Yeah, good food there as well. Restaurant. There's lots of good restaurants. I can't really narrow it down, to be honest, with restaurants. Best park, Graves Park. The best park bar, the Animal Farm.
Where
you can
is
go
it?
and pet the lambs. It's awesome.
Oh yeah, Healy City Farm is around there
Healy
as
City
well.
Farm
Healy
also
City Farm
good,
is good.
yeah.
Is that all your categories?
There's probably stuff that I'm forgetting.
So many.
Yeah.
I feel like everyone who comes on this podcast, as soon as we ask people to be like, what's your favourite thing? It's immediately food. I feel like every time it's been a food one. Like, people, there is so much good food in Sheffield.
Yeah,
to be fair.
there is. There really is.
So another question that we ask on the podcast is, where did you fail most successfully?
So for me, when I was growing up, I always wanted to be a boxer. Like, boxing was like my thing. I was like, I'm gonna be a heavyweight boxer. That's it. That was my whole entire life plan. And then I suffered quite a severe injury, which meant that I could not pursue that path anymore, which sent me into kind of like a deep kind of depressive state. I had a lot of problems with like alcohol and substances and stuff like that. And I managed, if I hadn't like gone down that kind of dark path, I wouldn't have ever kind of hit rock bottom, being like, right, I need to sort this out, go back to college as a 26-year-old, which was an interesting experience, to say the least. I'm just thinking about it now. Chesney College, big up Chesney College. And then got my undergrad degree, got an MA, got funding for a PhD. None of this would have ever happened if I hadn't hit rock bottom and kind of gone down that path. So yeah, that's probably my most successful failure, I'd say.
Yeah, that sounds brilliant. Thank you for offering such like an honest account. Thank you.
Mine isn't as good. I just say like, I don't know if it's a failure, I guess, like I'm not really failing, but I was very like excited, I guess, to move out of home, and then I think it kind of the reality of like actually being really far away. Like I'm from the Isle of Man, so I live quite far. It's quite hard to get home, and like all my family are there, so it's quite isolating here. But I wouldn't say it's a failure, but I think it was like a misjudgment of like I thought I was ready when I wasn't, and I think going through that and like being able to have friends around you to talk about that, it kind of got me through, and I think you kind of learn how to deal with things yourself. And I think that was really important for like my independence. So I guess that kind of brought me to my degree, and then it obviously worked because I wanted to stay for masters, and I'm staying after masters as well. So yeah, I guess like that experience kind of made me a bit more independent, I guess.
Yeah. Fantastic. Did you meet fantastic besties like?
Yeah, of course.
You need people like me.
I'll never forget you know.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having us.
And for talking to us a bit about your projects and your
Thanks.
research. And yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.